Hello everyone and welcome back to JavaScript Lessons in Codecademy. So last time we practiced a bit of control flow using if and else, and then we got introduced to the switch case statement or control flow way. So today we're actually going to be looking at that in more detail. So let's get started. The switch statement is put together like this. So you have a switch and some expression, which most of the time is actually just a variable. And in the case of that variable being option 1, do something. If it's option 2, do something else. If it's option 3, do something third. And if it's none of those options, then do something else. JavaScript will try to match the expression between the switch parentheses to each case. It will run the code below each case if it finds a match, and will execute the default code if no match is found. So, as I said, that's the default. Or if you're imagining this to be an if, else if, and else statement, the switch wouldn't really be anything. The first case would be the if. So instead of the option, you would have something like if number 1 equals 1, do something. Else if, for case 2, you would have else if number 1 equals 2. Then you have else if number 1 equals 3, and then the default would be represented by the else. But this is a much quicker way of doing it. I don't know if it's more efficient, but it's a lot easier to type out. So our switch statement needs a case for yellow, because we only have red and blue for our primary colors. Add it in and make it log a string of your choice to the console. It should be different from the default string. So don't forget to end your case with a break statement, otherwise it will go on and execute the code for a default too. We don't want that. So yeah, if you don't use the break, so if you have, for example, if option 1 is true, so if the expression is option 1 and you don't have the break there, then it's going to do this, and then it's going to check for this as well, and then check for this as well, and then also go into the default, which you don't really want to happen because that can mess everything up. That's why you need a break. So let's actually just do this. So in case of the when the case is yellow, so let's just go with that, we want to console.log, and that's, so we have red's a good color, that's my favorite color too. I don't know what to say. The color of the sun, I guess I'll just go with that. And then let's not forget the break. There we go. As well as the semicolons actually. So let's type in yellow and see what happens. Oops, I don't think that's a primary color. Oh, this is why, because I left a space there. Let's try that again then. There we go. So the color of the sun gets printed out because we entered yellow. So variable color is going to be yellow. So what's going to happen here is switch color. So it's checking for color. If color is red, it's going to say red's a good color. If color is blue, then it's going to say that's my favorite color too. If color is yellow, it's going to say the color of the sun. I should have done that's the color of the sun, but it doesn't really matter because it's just an example. And if it's none of those, then it's going to say I don't think that's a primary color. But a problem with this, or this program specifically actually, is that if you enter it with an uppercase Y or an uppercase first letter, then it's also going to go into the default. So you might want to say switch color and use the lowercase syntax, which we haven't actually covered yet. Hopefully we cover that later on, but for now this is basically how the switch case works. So let's move on. Practice with switch. So now that you've added cases to an existing switch, let's practice adding a default block. So add the default block at the bottom of the switch statement, then run the code a few times with different inputs. So switch is super useful. Okay, sure. So we have default, and I'm not actually sure if that's how it works, but we shouldn't need anything. Let's just check. Yes, it is how it works. I was confused because it didn't indent it automatically for me. So console.log. So what do we want to log? Let's see what this program is about. So what's your favorite candy? Type your favorite candy here. So licorice, gross, I agree. Gum, I like gum. Beets, is that even a candy? Like what? And then default, so if it's none of those, that's an interesting type of candy. There we go. Save and submit. So let's add that. And as we can see, it enters the default, because candy is in this case is going to equal just the random letters that they entered, which doesn't match any of those three, and so it's going to enter the default. If it did match one of those three, it would just run whatever is in one of those. In the default code block, you also don't need a break. I mean, you can use a break, but there's no use for it, and it would slow down your program very slightly, but it's still going to slow it down. And that you don't need a break because it's right at the end of the switch case. So after the default is executed, it's going to exit automatically anyway. So let's move on. More practice with switch. You know what they say, practice makes perfect. Of course it does. We've given you the empty skeleton of a switch statement. Complete the existing case, then add at least one additional case and a default behavior with whatever console.log calls you like. So variable answer equals prompt add your question here. Oh, okay, fair enough. How big is the sun? I don't know. I don't actually know this, so I'm going to improvise. Well, not improvise, I'm just going to say something like, I don't know. Do you? Yep, I'm just going to go along that route. Then you have case 2, which is going to be something like, I don't know. What can it be? What are you having for dinner? And we can say, what am I going to be having for dinner? I am going to say that I'm going to have a burrito. I don't even know if that's how you spell it, but I'm just going to go with the spelling because it doesn't really matter, because it's just an example. And we shouldn't be forgetting the break there or the semicolons. Then let's just do the default, and that's not how you spell default. This is. There we go. Whoa, why is it half indented? That's weird. There we go. So default, we're going to have console.log again and say, that's an interesting question. And that's what you can do. So let's actually try all three ways. So let's do how big is the sun. So capitalization does matter. So I don't know, do you? That works. Let's try what are you having for dinner. This time I will just copy and paste it because that's a lot quicker. Save and submit. A burrito, there we go. I've actually never had a burrito, or I don't think I have. Sorry about that. Oops, I didn't mean to reload again. So if we enter some nonsense, that's an interesting question, I have to think about it. There we go. So that's an example of what you could do with switch and case. In a game, I actually don't know. It could probably come in useful, but I just can't think of a concrete example right now. So let's just move on. All on your own. I don't like being creative. Great work. Now it's time to put a switch statement together all on your lonesome. Create your own switch statement in the editor. It can do anything you like. Make sure to include at least 3 cases and a default. So I am going to do this. I'm just going to lay out the skeleton and then just do some really random stuff. So case, and here we go. Or no, not case, we need to do switch here, don't we? So our variable can be a number, which is going to equal, I don't know, 0 for now. Or no, I'm going to actually prompt the user to enter something. Was that how you do it? I can't even remember now. Let's go back a lesson. Yes, it is how you do it. Good, I can remember things. Yeah, doesn't matter. Ooh, I lost everything. Oh well. Not that big of a deal. That's all I had anyway. So we're going to be switching something, and variable a number can be prompt the user for please enter a number between 1 and 10. There we go, and then we can be switching. Oops, I want that. And because I should be going what the JavaScript rules, I'm going to make the first thing the first letter a lowercase letter. So we're going to be switching a number, and then we're going to have 3 cases. So case 1, and then do something. Then we're going to have case 2, or now I'm going to do case 5, and then also case 10. You can do one for each number, but I'm just going to be lazy today and not do that. Oops, I actually want to indent that just to make it clearer. So console.log. I'm just going to say something random. There we go. So in the case of 1, I'm going to say something like, I don't know what to say. You think small. For 10, I'm going to say you think big. So that's easy to copy and paste. And here I'm just going to say you think average. Now, actually, I'm not sure if prompt takes it as a string or an integer. I actually think that it's going to take it as a string, so this isn't going to work the way I've laid it out. So I will just put quotation marks around those, and it should work now. So we put in a 2. Okay, make sure you include, oh yes, we forgot about those. I am going to be forgetting a lot of those, I have a feeling. I also forgot the semicolons. Break. Let's put in the semicolons as well. 7 submit. Let's try now. 3. That's a number I didn't think about. Oops, I should have a capital I. Let's reload and let's enter a number that I have thought about. And 7 submit. And if we do 5, come on. You think average, which is what we wanted to happen. So that's all fine. So let's move on to the last lesson, I believe. So well done. Even though we've been focusing on switch, we've covered a lot so far. So we have reviewed the if, else if, and else statements for control flow. We've reviewed a bit of for and while, not that much actually. It was just one part, and it wasn't both of them, it was just one of them. Learned about the switch statement and how to use it instead of multiple if and if else's. Covered switch syntax, and we managed to actually write our own switch syntax, which is, I guess, a good accomplishment. So when you're ready, click Save and Submit Code to move on to the last section of this lesson, which we're going to be doing next part, and it's going to be about logical operators, which I actually enjoy quite a lot, because you can do a lot of things with them and they come in handy very commonly. So stay tuned for that. But until then, please like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, tell me in the comments why you didn't like it. If you need help, but also ask me in the comments down below, I will be replying as soon as possible. But until next time, thank you so much for watching and goodbye.